Welcome back, Tribe. Got an episode here from FBE Capital. It says how Democrats lost the war on masculinity.
Do we need men?
Hello, Democrats. Hey, I am speaking.
I need my man 3 to 4 times a week. And
What the is this? That's daytime TV. Do you guys really think men can get up here and say, my wife is just a whole lot every now and then?
The survey shows 23% of 12th grade boys identify as conservative.
Men, and especially young men, were moving very strongly into the Republican camp.
But that seems obvious, Jen. So
Yes, it
why
is.
are they not doing it?
No, a lot of the messaging strategies that were developed to men by white women. And I think that is a problem.
So I think we have a problem with young men right now, and that they don't respect women, as you're seeing with Vinny. They don't respect facts. They don't read newspapers. They don't understand polls. They don't understand misogyny. They don't understand people of color. And they don't understand that immigration bill.
because men are useless.
Broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless.
What kind of example are you guys setting for your son?
The Democratic Party has kind of a masculinity problem.
Is the fault of the Democratic
They don't have a masculinity problem. They have a men problem. They hate men. The problem is they hate men. And the very people that hate men are the most privileged of classes in the United States, especially white women, but women of all color. The ones who are basically in a daycare working a job that's bullshit. No real job, no actual work that requires, expertise that holds up society. You push numbers into a laptop, you go to meetings, you get your little coffee, you get your little massage, you have your little powwow where you play with Legos. You do a bunch of fucking nothing for a corporation. You're hired there to basically maintain, government mandated quotas. That's it.
party and not knowing how to communicate effectively?
The non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced.
What are these retards talking about? Like,
What the left is doing is attacking America. They're saying that America is systemically oppressive and men are systemically responsible.
Our country should be more fearful of white men.
I mean, white people. They're all rapists. Die, white devil.
MAGA equals football and beer. The left equals HR and tofu.
Pete Hegseth was in Germany this week doing squats to like 220 on the bar outside for no reason. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelk boys. My son, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn.
So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie,
Also with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied? Just outright lied.
Ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
While he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Yes, boys. After decades of hating on men and supporting trends like all men are trash and we don't need men, somehow the Democrats lost the young male vote. Crazy, right? And so by alienating young men, Democrats got to see their worst nightmare come to life, which is Big T back in the White House.
How did we get here?
I wonder.
How did we get here?
It's a mystery.
Too much winning.
I can't believe this country did this again.
You can't make this up. Physiognomy checks out, bro. Every single time there's a look. Why? Why is it that, like, when you take in a certain mentality, a certain ideology, it just produces a broken version of what these people you could have been like had they been normal. Like, you understand if she actually not cut her hair like fucking Velma, and the glasses and the bullring with diamonds, the facial reactions and emotive expressions, if she would have just let the hair down long, get rid of all this stupid shit, put on some makeup, get fit. Well, she's not fat anyways, but stay in shape and have a more pleasant demeanor, that she would not resemble anything remotely close to this thing. It's insane.
And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more.
So this forced the DNC to now go out and spend $20 million to figure out how to talk to men, since they finally figured out they do need men.
To try and get back their male voters, they want to, quote, study the syntax to understand them.
I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists.
Geez, I wonder where they went wrong. Please drop a like on the video if you think that Democrats alienated men from the party, and comment down below what you think. So apparently, doing back-to-back appearances on Karen's Gone Wild TV did not help them. Now,
Karen's
obviously,
Gone
$20 million is a lot of money. However, personally, I still feel like they could do a lot better. Am I right? I mean, if these DNC Karens want to secure the male vote, they're going to need to bring a lot more to the table since it's 2025 and men are not settling. Right, guys? Drizzle, drizzle.
I go on a date with a female and the bill comes and she don't pick up the bill. And she said, "Oh, you're not going to pay for it?" I said, "What?" Drizzle, drizzle. I'm not going to pay for anything.
If you can't afford the date, just say so, baby. I know I'm expensive. I am a fine wine. See these grays? Fine wines cost money. I'm going to show up on that date in a $90,000 car. And no, I'm not going to pick you up because my time costs money. Boy math.
Classic. But in all seriousness, the Democrats have really tried everything possible to make it clear that they do not give a single f about men. Check this out. This is the official list of people that the Democrats focused on and were going to fight for during the 2024 election. Basically singling out every possible group you could think of, except for one.
What? They have small business communities, seniors and retired, rural Americans, Native Americans, LGBTQ, all that shit, union members and family men. They even have they have a section called women. There's not a section called men in this entire thing. $20 million, I can tell you right now, it's going to be a complete waste. They hired that dude that's like, soy boss supreme, David Hogg, right, to help the Democrat Party somehow win back men. Catastrophic failure, by the way. Everybody that represents a liberal male, catastrophic fucking failure. It does not resonate with men whatsoever. These people don't understand the needs of the average man because they keep demonizing average men the moment they open their mouths. So nobody likes getting talked at or talked down to, especially when they're angling for your fucking vote. And they know there's an ulterior motive there. The men aren't stupid. They see society's crumbling all around them, and they go, why the fuck should I even vote for you? I'll vote for the guy that'll say he breaks the system, even if he doesn't. But at least he spoke to me, acknowledged that I exist, unlike this fucking extensive list you have that doesn't acknowledge I even exist. So now you want my vote, and you're only going to spend $20 million? They should be spending $1 billion fucking dollars. Good luck. They need to basically kick out all Karens, kick out every single liberal man, anybody with progressive toxic ideology. They need to dump their progressive ideologues out of the Democrat Party and completely rebrand. You got to turn into like an 80s, 90s Democrat, which is essentially, what the coalition of, it's a little bit more leftist still, but that's what the coalition is today of the Republicans. It's like a 90s Democrat, essentially. If you watch videos of 90s Democrats, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, those era Democrats, they talk exactly the shit Trump is saying right now is what they say, like close our borders, right? We want secure borders, no free handouts to illegal aliens, right? Giving other countries more of the stick, not the carrot, putting America's interest at first, fair tariffs and all this kind of crazy shit that is, for the left is considering like fascism, Nazism and all this stuff. That's just 90 Democrat talk. But, the Overton window has shifted so dramatically. The left, we've shifted so far, loony left, where we're asking, what is a man? What is a woman? Like, this is the party that can't answer basic biology, and they're going to spend $20 million figuring out how to get men to vote when they don't know what a woman is. It makes zero fucking sense.
1. Men.
Consider that at the Democratic Party website, there's a list under the heading, Who We Serve, LGBTQ plus community, and women, but not men.
Women, seniors, rural Americans. One group that's not mentioned is men.
And more specifically, straight white men. Because if you are a straight guy who doesn't want to debase himself for the feminist propaganda, then they absolutely hate you.
In case you forgot that men are awful.
And the coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears.
This election is going to be determined by women.
Clearly, the Dems cannot connect with young men, and spending $20 million to figure out how to won't do a damn thing when you genuinely do not care about men's issues, interests, or goals.
Across the board. Didn't matter what race they are. Males turned towards Donald Trump. Why? Because in so many ways, the party basically dismissed him and not until the very end decided, I better reach out and see if these guys are worth talking to.
Democrats look at men as just a tool for them to get back into power, even taking it one step further by enacting laws and policies that actively discriminate against men and again, specifically against straight white men.
Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're on a white male first.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken. We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now, who was half black, but didn't hear half black. And there was a creative executive who was like, "We're not that's not what's for."
What the fuck? So because a half black appeared too white or not black enough, they didn't get hired because that wouldn't have hit the quotas correctly according to the exec. It's fucking racist. That's insane. This is the party that wants to spend money on getting men back when they're supremely fucking racist. That's crazy. Somehow they don't think they have a problem deeply, internally, foundational level. That the party is rotten, completely. The only way I could possibly see them do well on midterms or the next election cycle is if we have some sort of catastrophic failure by the Republicans. There's no way. I don't see everything they claim the Republicans to be, the Democrats are. Seriously, the gaslighting was insane. They're saying that the Republicans were fracturing under Trump and MAGA. Turns out they didn't. They rallied around him. All the rhinos got essentially booted out, moved to the side. They got primaried and wrecked. So Trump consolidated power within the Republicans. Democrats don't have a figure like that to unite Democrats. You got a split between progressives, between libertarians, between old school Democrats, new school Democrats, plus the Democrats in name only, who are basically corporate shills. Yeah. So their base is split heavily, and they're not able to galvanize voters because they all eat each other alive because they're so woke. How do you please everybody? This is the monster that they've created. The virtue signaling, the Puritanism, right? It's who could be more pure in ideology. And the moment you step out of line and try to meet in the middle, they cast you out. And that's what's happened to the Democrats. They're casting each other out. The party's in complete fucking shambles.
This is completely insane, especially coming from the people that scream they want equality and want to put an end to racism. But in reality, they hope racism never dies since they need it to feed their bullshit propaganda. But luckily, the recent Supreme Court decision has just put a massive stake through the heart of this nonsense by giving a unanimous decision that reverse racism is indeed racism.
This involved alleged reverse discrimination by a straight woman alleging being passed over for a job because she was not gay. They were tossed out by a federal appeals court that said she had to prove something higher because she was a white straight woman.
Which just shows you how far this extreme left propaganda has corrupted society. And this is why it's so important that men start to get political and take voting a lot more seriously. Because even when Democratic politicians do talk about men and try to fake concern about men's issues, if you listen carefully, it is still just about helping women.
Vice President Harris had a few words for the men at that rally. Take a quick listen.
Men across America do not want to see their daughters and wives and sisters and mothers put at risk because their rights have been taken. I see the men here.
Abortion, abortion, abortion. Why the hell would young men give a single fuck about abortion if they can't even get laid?
Are they tired of sex?
It's that attitudes toward sex have shifted.
So no, the average guy is not worried about getting all of these women that he's not f***ing pregnant. But more importantly, if you watch more of this interview, she literally spends her entire time talking about how men can help women and why it's good for women that men vote for a woman. Even though this was all supposed to be about understanding men and the problems that men face.
Think of somebody like Tim Walz. He's successfully threaded the needle of turning the idea of
He's an absolute beta sim. Nobody likes Tim Walz. He does not remind anybody of a man. That's why they weren't able to make this whole... And first, man, look, the party of racism. First of all, Kamala is not black. She's Indian. How the fuck did they just blackwash her? That's mind-blowing. Then... what do we, I mean, God, where you can go a million directions with this one. I mean, they have never addressed why they chose Harris when Biden stepped down instead of having the candidates run in a primary to actually have the voters select who they wanted. They anointed Kamala as the successor, you know, basically like what the European Union does, bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats. Nobody chose her. She was selected. So you doubly screwed yourself. You ran a woman against Trump. You ran an unelected woman that the Democrat people, the voter base couldn't choose. And then you basically isolated white people in general. You tried to say white women was on your side, but based on polling data, we saw that white men and white women supported Trump heavily, especially white men. You got to cater to white men or you're not winning the vote. And white women, you know, by extension, dating most of those white men are going to have similar mind. So until, you know, the racial demographics change, you have to secure the white vote or you're not going to get elected. And what the Democrats have done over the last, 8 or so years is alienate, firstly, white men, but then white people in general. And they got sick of it and they voted. And it was catastrophic for the Democrats. And instead of learning from their mistake, apologizing, rebranding, they doubled down on the madness. $20 million is going to be wasted down the drain.
Escalating on its head by showing a deep empathy for women's issues.
We are at a crossroads. We do need a positive new vision of what men can be and what men can, and men need to be able to see that. I think that men can have a very central, very important role in, again, protecting women.
So you see, even when the left talks about helping men, they really mean helping men to help women. They simply do not care about actually helping men and enacting policies that benefit men.
Money in politics is the hands of oligarchy.
This is another really stupid word, oligarch. What the knows what an oligarch is?
Intersectionality of feminism. People who might not know what intersectionality really means.
Don't use words like intersectionality. The LGBTQ community. I wouldn't even use the LBGQT plus or whatever it is.
LGBTQ Americans.
Just call people gay, or lesbian, or trans. Just use the word that is most commonly used among people.
Now, a fair bit of criticism would be, are the Republicans that much better? No, of course not. Since this right here is an absolutely useless Republican who should have been immediately replaced over 2,000 years ago when he first took office. And this warmongering lunatic is another worthless Republican who cares more about foreign wars and foreign interests than he cares about American people. So there are plenty of problems on the Republican side as well. However, if you have to choose between a party that makes mistakes and will argue with you at the table versus a party that literally does not want you at that table.
So I think we have a problem with young men right now.
Our country should be more fearful of white men.
Then be honest, who are you choosing? Because say what you will about David Hogg and how he got drop-kicked from the DNC vice chair position, but he was absolutely right about one thing.
While there are some effective people in our party, there certainly are some who are failing to meet the moment. And no, it's time for them not to seek re-election. Whether that's because they're, too old, for example, or if that's because they just aren't able to meet it. Because frankly, unfortunately, sucking is something that is not limited to age.
Yes, on this one issue, I fully agree with Supreme Leader of Soy here, since useless politicians should be replaced on both sides. Because for way too long, we've seen literal corpses being pushed down the aisle of Congress
for real.
to go vote for their billion-dollar...
Bro, that shit's crazy to me. Look at this. This is in the halls of power. One of the richest women on earth, probably. Straight up due to her supreme intellect and knowledge of day trading stocks. She is better than the best hedge funds, the best trading firms that Wall Street has to offer. Goldman Sachs, you suck. Whatever other private hedge funds and money managers, you're garbage. This old woman walking with a fucking walker, being assisted to take steps. Her intellect reigns supreme. Her brain power is greater than entire firms that are comprised of hundreds of our smartest, and I mean smart, I'm not joking when I say smartest, I mean wickedly smart students that go into finance, our college graduates. Instead of solving real problems, they went in to make multiple millions of dollars, right? We're talking engineers, computer scientists, AI researchers, writing incredible algorithms for high-frequency trading machines employed by the best of the best with the deepest of pockets. Trading firms. This woman in a cane consistently outperforms every single one of them. Wow.
Corporate donors and do nothing for the American citizen. However, David got kicked from his position even though he was democratically elected simply because he was a man.
DNC boots David Hogg and another vice chair from their roles. Instead of holding two separate votes, one for a male vice chair and one for a female vice chair, as required by the DNC ran a single combined election for both positions.
Well, him and the other guy could have rock, paper, scissors for who had to be the woman.
Yeah.
Which shows you just how insane the Democrats have gotten. However, the problems of the DNC run much deeper than having ridiculous voting procedures, since there seems to exist a crazy level of self-hatred amongst white female Democrats that just cannot be explained.
Fact that I am dripping with white privilege.
White people, we have always been the problem. Since the beginning of this country, the colonizers, oppressors, you choose to continue to live that way.
The Canada, United States law.
White man, how dare you? How dare you?
That was kind of racist.
Privileged white man too.
How was that racist?
But you know what I'm
You
doing?
just called me a privileged white man.
You cannot be racist to white people.
This level of self-hatred is just disgusting. So why would any white guy seeing this want to join that side? A side that teaches you nothing but to hate yourself for being white and force you to constantly apologize for your supposed male privilege, even though most men are simply working a 9-to-5 trying to pay their bills. These women on the left seem to be so blind to the very basic concept that no one's going to like being talked to like this. As a matter of fact, when the lunatics of The View get a taste of their own medicine, they absolutely hate it.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms,
I don't
the majority
think
of his
white
community?
women like being called uneducated white women. I think the
But that's what
economy
the-
matters,
that's what
national
the- that's what
security
the
matters.
poll said.
But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
See, now all of a sudden she cares about being grouped and smeared.
Broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless.
What an absolute moron. And so,
Genius.
yes, I understand that some people are saying, but Trump or the Republican Party is not giving me everything I want. And of course, that is definitely true. But wake the fuck up, guys. You're never going to find a politician or a political party that gives you 100% of what you want. You'll be lucky to find anyone that gives you 70 or 80%. But what's even more important is that even if the Democrats would align with 50 or 60% of your political views, which I highly doubt if you're a straight guy, then it's only a matter of time before they will turn on you like they did with David Hogg, Mayor Adams, Joe Rogan, Bernie Sanders, Tim Pool, Andrew Schultz, RFK Jr., John Fetterman, Dave Chappelle, Elon Musk, Mark
going.
Zuckerberg. Do I need to go on? Or do you start to see a pattern here? All of these guys used to be on the left of center, and some still are. But more importantly, most were Bernie Sanders supporters, and all of them are now massively hated by the Democratic Party. And so again, it's becoming very clear that American men, especially young men, need to start taking voting a lot more seriously.
They even hate women too. Tulsi Gabbard was a big one. She was running over there in Hawaii, I believe. And they call her now a Russian bot, Russian shill, whatever else, because she aligns with obviously putting America first, which aligns with the coalition that Donald Trump has put together of quite a few Democrats in his cabinet running under the Republican banner. This is how bad they've screwed this up. It's insane.
League, and they need to start voting hard, all the way down the political spectrum. Don't just focus on the White House.
Yeah, a lot of us were Democrats, actually, back in the day. Democrat, technically, especially by the policies back then. And Republicans were the party of big business, right? Or for the CIA, government control, that kind of shit. Going to war, yeah? And then somehow it all switched. Then the Democrats started sucking off corporations, started warmongering, started trying to take your rights away, started to censor everybody, wanted big government in your way, putting jabs in your body that you didn't want, right? Trying to micromanage your fucking life. That was the complete opposite of you guys remember the 70s and the 80s, basically what the hippies were. It was peace, bro. And they had the peace signs and abolish the CIA, no FBI, no big government, libertarianism, right? That was the party that would intake all the libertarianism, free, 2-8 supporters, personal rights and freedoms. Now, Democrats openly talk about infringing on your right to speech, your right to bear arms, all your rights, because you are cattle to them. The government is what reigns, supreme instead of serving the public. There's a fundamental difference. But yeah, unfortunately, both sides suck. Both sides have their issues. And, you had the choice, shit sandwich or slightly less shitty shit sandwich. Because, yeah, even Republicans still got a ton of rhinos, a ton of sellouts, a ton of corporate money. The problem is the corporate money, the special interest, right, that do not align with American interests. Hopefully, it'll start getting worked on and we'll make some progress here because there's already rumblings of a third party. We'll see. Give it time, boys. Give it time. Now, with the advent of the internet, now that politics has become a household thing, people are paying much more close attention. Your words can now be used against you immediately. They'll put a highlight reel of a politician saying something, and then months later, they'll flip-flop because they got a little bit of money, right? That special interest money, that private dinner and donation, those campaign super PACs, all that shit gets unraveled today. So we will see. They're losing control over information. So the beast is flailing, and it's in its final moments, hopefully. Hopefully. Because there's shit under the hood they're doing to, maintain control. But as for the Democrats, they're cooked, at least for the next election cycle still. It's dead in the water. There's no way. Unless we have a catastrophic economic failure, they have no shot. They really, literally have there's no front runner I could think about that gets you excited to vote Democrat. Nobody. Anyways, see you on the next one, boys. Happy 4th of July.